Today I want to show you how to remove a plastic drop-in bed liner. Now, anybody that knows me knows I'm not a big fan of this type of liner, and the reason why is because I just think there are better options out there. Now let me go into that. First of all, this is a hard surface. If you're actually working in the bed of your truck on your hands and knees, this is no friend to your knees. They also don't really keep with the lines of the truck. So if you notice here, it's raised in the center. Whenever the sun comes out, heats everything up, starts to expand, that actually gets worse. Around your openings for things like tie downs, they just kind of have big gaping holes. Typically up towards the front where the bulkhead is, at least one side is raised up. And that's nothing more than the fact that this is just kind of an older technology in molding plastics. It's what's called a vacuum formed. Another thing that I really don't appreciate about these is that they're not fastened very well and they can kind of move around. Now this is a great big shell that's fit inside the bed of your truck. And if you've got a big load in the bed of the truck and driving down a bumpy road, this is going to move around a lot. You're going to have vibration, and typically it's going to start working its way through the paint. I've pulled liners out of beds that have been less than a year old and noticed where there are some rub zones where it's gone all the way through the paint and it's already started to rust the bed of the truck. I understand why dealerships put these into the bed of the truck. They only pay about $75 for a plastic drop-in liner, but they can sell them for about $375. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing out of here. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that any locations where the liner is physically attached to the bed of the truck are removed. Now this is a Ford, so we're just going to have a plug that pops in here. If it was a Chevy, you might have a screw drilled into the bed of the truck holding the liner in place. Typically, if you got the Chevy, it's also drilled into the front of the bulkhead as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this plug out. Now these plugs are in there really, really well. So to get that out, I'm just going to get it loose and take a utility knife and cut it off. And once that's cut off, I'm going to go ahead and pop that through and then go underneath the truck and pick it up because that's where it just went to. Now the first thing we want to do before we can pull this out is get it free from the sides. Now you can pull it away from the sides and work it out of the sides. If you do that without lifting up on the center, you're going to fight this quite a bit. So what we're going to do first is lift up on the center of the liner. That pulls the corners in and we can get it free from the sides that way. All right, just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, this truck is practically brand new. It just came off the lot, and we've already got leaves and dust and dirt underneath the bed liner. If you've had your bed for any extended period of time, you're gonna have a lot more underneath there. Typically, when I pull these things out, even if it's only been a few months, there's already rub zones where it's rubbing through the paint. Now let's go ahead and turn to the tailgate piece. Let me show you how to pull that off. Okay, now this is the Ford. On the Ford, you've got a total of 8 screws that hold this piece onto the tailgate. Now those 8 screws also hold an access panel onto the tailgate. That's the access panel you would pull off if you needed to work on your backup camera or your tailgate handle. So we're gonna go ahead and pull those out, and you're gonna need a T20 Torx bit to do that. Wanna make sure we're not putting a whole lot of pressure. We're going to set them to the side. Now each one of these, that's a 4mm screw. So if you got a washer to throw on there and put the screw back in, that will hold the panel in place. If you don't have a washer, you might find a screw with a larger head. That's what we did. Each one of these, I'm going to reinstall the screws to hold the panel in place. Well, you got to see me pull a plastic drop-in liner out of a Ford. Every other truck is going to have a very similar process to remove that liner. This particular customer is going to go with the Bedrug Classic liner because it's going to protect the bed without damaging it. Also, it's way more comfortable to work out of. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.